We're gonna be start with the 5.1 level of stress. 5.1 level of stress, we're gonna be learn what is the word stress, level of stress, characteristic of level of stress in word. What is stress? Stress is a degree of force with which a syllable or a word is uttered. It is also defined as the degree of prominence a syllable has. Word with more than one syllable has a stressed syllable. In table, first syllable is prominent. In committee and recommend, second syllable is stressed. The video here will explain for you guys the level of stress in the most clear way.
So let's take a closer look at the 3 levels of stress in English. We'll start with primary stress. Primary stress is the loudest and longest syllable in a word with a very noticeable change in pitch on the vowel. In one-syllable words, that one syllable has the primary stress. Blue or 10. It's the only syllable in the word, so of course it receives the primary stress. That makes sense. The vowel is louder and longer, and there's an obvious change in pitch. Listen for that change in pitch. Blue. 10. 10. Even when I speed it up, that change in pitch is obvious. The only exceptions to this rule of a one-syllable word receiving the primary stress are a handful of function words like the, which are usually unstressed or reduced. We rush through them. We'll talk more about those commonly reduced or rushed words in another lesson. The second level of stress is secondary stress. These are the syllables which are stressed, but not as much as the primary stress. So they are loud and long with a change in pitch, but not as loud or as long as the syllables that get the primary stress. And the change in pitch on the vowel is not quite as noticeable. An example of secondary stress would be the first syllable in this word, disappear. We do spend some time on this syllable and we do make the vowel louder and longer, but not quite as much as we do on this last syllable, the third syllable, peer. If both of these syllables received primary stress, which can happen, it happens in certain words, but here it doesn't. If both of these syllables received primary stress, it would sound like this: disappear, disappear, disappear. But because we don't spend quite as much time on the disappear, we categorize that as secondary stress. And if you notice this middle syllable, we just rush through as quickly as we can. Disappear. We get right to that third syllable that receives the primary stress. The third level of stress is the unstressed syllable. These are the syllables that have no stress at all, so we rush through them and shorten the vowel until it's almost completely gone. I often tell my students to just cut the vowel, pretend like it's not there at all, even though it is there, but that the idea of cutting the vowel seems to work. When people are used to giving equal stress to every syllable, which is the timing pattern of a lot of other languages, getting people to learn to cut that vowel in the unstressed syllable can really help with the rhythm overall. So the change in pitch on this vowel is there, but it's barely noticeable. Let's take a look at some examples. The first syllable of the word prepare is the unstressed syllable. We cut the vowel, we rush through it as quickly as we can, even though the letter E is in the word as far as spelling. Because this syllable is completely unstressed, we cut the vowel and use what's called the unstressed vowel, or the schwa, which again, we'll learn more about that in another lesson. For now, just imitate pr and get through it as quickly as you can so that you can get to the second syllable that gets all the stress and all the vowel and all the change in pitch. Prepare. Prepare. Unstressed syllables are often very confusing as far as spelling. It doesn't matter what vowel letter you see. Most of the time, that letter will be representing the unstressed vowel or the schwa or the sound. Same thing happens with the word yoga. The second syllable is unstressed. We replace the letter A with the unstressed vowel, the sound, and we get away from that syllable as quickly as we can.
You just heard the presentations of level of stress, and I will continue my group presentations on word stress treatment. Dealing with stress is very difficult to predict since there are so many exceptions. It is best to treat stress treatment as a property of the individual to be learned when the word itself is learned. Nevertheless, stress treatment of the English words follow a general principle that the primary stress is the first a word tends to fall on the final syllable, the second last syllable, or the third last syllable of the word, and about part stress pattern on the simple words or derivative words. A single word form, either simple or derivative form, may have the primary stress, or the initial syllable, the middle syllable, or the final syllable. In multi-syllable noun and adjective, the primary stress falls on the first syllable, the penultimate. For example, happy, clever, exercise. According to the car, native English noun and having two syllables take the penultimate stress means stress of two syllable verb is ultimate. For example, create, donate, relay. The words ending in ic, tion, tion have the penultimate stress. For example, economic, decision, location. The words ending in cy, ty, phy, gy, ate takes the antepenultimate stress. For example, technology, photography. The rule is true for all polysyllabic verbs and adjectives ending the ate. For example, graduate, communicate. The words that have the following ending typically take ultimate stress. The first, ain, such as entertain, ascertain, and the second, eer. For example, volunteer, engineer, and the third, ette, such as kitchenette, bread, and the next is IQUE and EAQUE, such as pictograph, unique, and the next is EE. For example, refugee, PE, and the last OON. For example, balloon, cartoon.
5. Step better on compound word. An English compound word has two parts. Two different words combined together. The identification of parameters that can be based on its morphological structure means that on the first part, for common nouns, the first part is a heavily stated its structure are as follows. Noun verb noun. I'm just what the form. Noun verb is. Bird watching, filmmaking. Verb in, verb now. Sitting room, matching boy. Verb now. Google pop, big podcast. For compound accentive easily written at one word. Airtime, gap free. Now first inform. time-consuming. Now, past participle passive. Main state on the second part. For common nouns, the second part is a primary state in this pattern. Accentive first noun, texted, faithful, accentive first verb in, overwhelming, bad participle, first noun, Lord property. For combat accentive, primary state form on the second part in the following structure. Noun plus advantage. Preferred accentive nouns, long time, adverb or accentive plus past participle regular, adverb or accentive plus inform, easygoing.
The next section of 5.2 is section 5.3, and I, Quintum, will introduce to you this part. In English, there are certain words that can be pronounced in two ways, its weak form and strong form. For example, black and white. He is taller than his brother. I would like some fish and chips.
And the next line, we will learn about sentence stress. First, let's watch the following two videos.
Nhưng mà sentence stress thật ra là một yếu tố cực kỳ quan trọng đối với phần phát âm, nhưng mà mình lại hay xem nhẹ. Không tin thì mọi người hãy xem thử score guide của Kirsten ngay ở đây. Đây là bảng điểm phần pronunciation. Nếu mà mọi người muốn đạt điểm 5 thì mọi người thấy là sentence level stress is fully appropriate. Mọi người cần phải có sentence stress và nó phải thật sự là phù hợp, fully appropriate luôn. Và nếu mà mọi người muốn đạt điểm 4 cho phần pronunciation thì sentence level stress is reasonable. Mình cũng phải có những cái sentence stress hợp lý. Và ngay trong phần giải thích cho từng task thì Pearson cũng nhấn mạnh một lần nữa phần này. Ở Read Aloud thì Pearson
Sentence stress, on the other hand, gives rhythm to English. What is rhythm? Rhythm is like music, okay? It's the reason that native speakers sometimes sound like da 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 da, okay? It's the music of English, so think of it like that. Sentence stress is so important when you want to understand why native speakers sometimes say groups of words really quickly and then emphasize other words and say them loudly and slowly. That's sentence stress.
We can understand that sentence stress can be defined as a phenomenon with one or more words in a sentence are pronounced as opposed to the other words in the same sentence. It can be said that sentence stress is the music of spoken language, as it is what gives English rhythm or beat. Normally, content words are straight and grammatical, or function words are unstraight. English has straight-timed rhythm, which means that straight syllables tend to occur at relatively regular intervals, whether they are separated by unstraight syllables or not. The straight-timed rhythm theory states that the time duration from each straight syllable to the next tends to be the same, irrespective of the number of intervening unstraight syllables. For example, walk down the path to the end of the canal. In the sentence above, the duration of time from 1 to 2 is the same as that from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4, and from 4 to 5, even though there is no intervening unstraight syllable between 1 and 2, and there are 3 intervening unstraight syllables between 4 and 5. The basic rules for sentence stress can be summed as follows. 1. Content words are straight. 2. Structure words are unstraight. And 3. The time between straight words is always the same.
Now, If we read
After
them,
a see
1,
video
2,
and
3,
listen to the
4,
teacher saying
you'll
them,
probably be able to pick up a
pronouncing the
certain rhythm there.
straight and
1,
unstraight words.
2, 3,
It
4.
is, however,
But what if
note
we add
that
a
grammatical
grammar
words
word? Let's
are
try
sometimes
and.
straight
1 and
or
2 and 3
in
and
phrase.
4.
By
Okay?
pressing in
What if we
phrase
add
on certain
2
words,
grammar
the
words?
speaker
1 and a
shows
2 and a
his
3 and a
or
4.
her point of
You see
view
how I
or
made that
important
faster?
piece
And even
of
changed
information
to
he or
una.
she wants
1 and a 2
to
and a 3 and a 4.
convey.
But what if we add 3 grammar words in there? 1 and then a 2 and then a
After
3 and
a
then a
see
4.
video
1 and then a
and
2 and then a
listen
3
to
and
the
then a
teacher
4.
saying
You see
them,
how fast I have to say and
pronouncing
then
the
a?
straight and
Because I'm
unstraight
trying to
words.
keep the time
It
the
is,
same.
however, that sentence straight is manipulated by the speaker and is strongly related to the structuring of information in discourse, and state that the placement of sentence straight reflects what a speaker assumes is in the consciousness of the hearer. At the same time, take the following sentence for illustration. In sentence, the word David is the most prominent, which means it is David, not Harry or somebody else who will cycle to school tomorrow. In sentence B, the emphasis is on will, which means it is definite that he will do it. In sentence C, the word cycle is more straight to mean that David will cycle, not drive nor walk to school. In sentence D, to is inferred to contract it with from similarly. In sentence E, the prominent is school to infer that David will cycle to school, not to all the blacks. And in the last sentence, tomorrow is more straight to focus on specific time. In this course, some words are more important and then are more prominent than others because they convey the new information, so the context or thus draw a special attention. For instance, A. How do you feel about the film? It's very boring. B. Would you like this shirt or that one? This one, please. C. Where are you going on holiday? I'm just thinking of traveling to Singapore. Intelligible A. Very gets much straight than boring because the speaker wants to inflate his her feeling. However, indigo B. This and that are most straight to show a contrast between the two items. And in C, the word Singapore is the most prominent because it provides the new information to the listener. The focus of this chapter is on straight, the relative emphasis that can be given to certain syllable in a word or to certain words in a phrase or sentence. In English, straight syllables are louder than non-straight syllables. Also, they are longer and have a high pitch. English is a straight term. A word of more than one syllable is termed a polysyllable. When an English polysyllabic word is said in its word form, one strongly straight syllable will stand out from the rest. Straight in isolated words in terms of word straight, but we can also analyze straight in connected speech, concert, concert sentence straight, where both polysyllabic and monosyllabic can carry strong straight, while other words may be complete unstraight. We will end our presentation. Thank you for your listening and see you again the next lesson.